All right, friends, we're back once again with another video for you guys. This one is gonna be good. I've been getting a lot of requests to do gaming items. So terrain, houses, things like that, things that I've been doing here, a fair amount on the channel. So this one here is another piece for gaming. And this piece here is going to a trade show. My wife actually requested that I build this so that she can show off these sort of items when she goes to do her trade show for her channels. So she's going to be showcasing some of my projects as well as hers. So here we have a cliff. This terrain piece is one of my favorite pieces that I've made. This turned out wonderful. The rock looks exquisite. The grass sections, the foliage, it just looks really, really good. And you know what? This did not take too long, and it wasn't that hard to do this. Anybody can do this stuff. It's the very fine details that really distinguish pieces like this from different creators. So that's what we have going on today. Guys, this was so much fun to build. I know you're gonna enjoy it. Why don't we go to the video and I'll show you how I did this. Okay guys, here we go. First of all, I'm going to use a piece of MDF here, and I'm going to trace out how I want the base to look. And this is going to be really, really simple. There's not going to be much cutting on this at all. Just that simple line right there. That's all I'm going to use to, cut off this piece and to show the frontage of the piece that I'm going to be working with. So the X-Acto knife comes out and boom, snappa, there it is. Just the cutting a little bit off there. This is going to give just a little bit of interesting and natural line for the project. So next, I went through my enormous bin of foam scraps, and this is the perfect kind of project you want to use all those scraps for. Get as many of these pieces out, the uglier the better, because it's going to make a nicer, more natural looking cliff. Now check that out. That is ugly. But you see, using up all of this excess foam, this is a good thing. You don't have to buy new. You don't have to get the good stuff and make this project out of good stuff. So anyway, moving on, grab some modeling clay, and I used a rock mold. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to have a bunch of really nice textured rock for the sides of the cliff. And this isn't going to be the whole project, but they're going to be strategically placed rocks, made out of this clay here. So press a whole bunch of these rocks. I can't remember how many I made, 20, I think, somewhere in around there, and set those aside to dry. Next, the hot wire cutter comes out, and this makes short work of foam. Let me tell you, if you don't have one of these, if you haven't used one of these are great. They stink, they cause a lot of smoke, which is kind of unfortunate. So, wear a respirator and go to town, because this is a really, really handy tool. This makes short work of pretty much anything. So as you can see, just really cutting with no rhyme or reason, just making it look even uglier than it started out with. And you know what? When you do that, when you don't try to plan it, you just cut and go, it's gonna turn out pretty cool. So that's what it looks like at the end of the cut job. You can see there's still a whole bunch of holes in the foam. And, at this point, somebody who hasn't done this before would be thinking, I screwed this up royally. Well, believe me, the uglier this looks, the better. So anyway, use some tacky glue, and those clay pieces, they weren't completely dry at all. They were probably only about 50% dry, just enough so that they can still be molded, but they were actually kind of firm. So just tacky glued those on in different areas. As you can see here, it kind of looks like a whole bunch of leeches on something, and it doesn't look good. But again, this is exactly what you want. So, let those dry a little bit, get it tacky, and then we're going to be moving on to the real fun step. So let's check that out. Hey everybody, if you're enjoying this video, please do me a favor. Hit the like and subscribe button. It would mean the world to me. let's go back to the video. All right, here's the fun part. So we're gonna add some drywall compound to a pail, and then we're gonna make a mixture that is really, really odd. So this here is some Thai tea. And the reason I used tea was because this is gonna give a really wild texture. And then I also used some, you know, fake gravel that's just, yeah, you know, this is weird, but this is gonna give this drywall compound some really cool texture. Now, check this out. As I mix this up, you can see that Thai tea has a little bit of food coloring in it. So it turns this nice, wonderful orange. And actually as a side bonus, this smelled delicious. So it was actually really nice to work with because this smelled really cool. So taking this drywall compound with the aggregate in it, and I just started spreading it around outside of the rock area. You know, I didn't want to go over the rock because, well, that would just, you know, ruin all the work I did with the texture for those rocks. So getting all that drywall compound in the spaces of the rock and trying to have it so that it kind of shows, it kind of goes to the same level as the rock. Because this is going to be, you know, this is all one structure. You want to make it look as natural as possible. So just spread that out as good as I can, make it look nice, get it to the same level as the rock. And then this is going to dry for overnight. So there's what it looks like dried overnight. It's nice and hard and it looks pretty cool. There's some cracking in there, but that just lends to the authenticity of it. It's going to be really good. So the next thing that I did was I used some paints. I used a few color paints and just added a little bit into a small solo cup, watered them down, and these are going to be washes. Now washes on this drywall compound and clay, it just looks really, really good. The wash kind of soaks up into this the rock and the drywall compound, and it gives it definitely a natural look. It's a dull kind of look to it, not like using on something that's a little bit more shiny or, you know, not so absorbent as this material is. So this looks really, really cool. So anyway, so I just started dabbing these washes in random places, you know, putting a little bit on the rock, not too much on the rock, and just going all over the whole thing and really giving it some interesting color. And this is always going to look horrible. It's going to look bad before it gets better, so don't worry about that. If you're doing this project, just go for it. Both feet, don't worry about it. Jam color everywhere you can. It is going to look amazing when it's done. So all these different washes I threw on, that's what it looks like. And you know, it looks really cool right now, but we're going to dull it down now. So what I did was I did the whole thing in a burnt umber wash. Now this is going to, again, it's going to dull all the colors, and it's also going to make, as you can see, the rock shows up differently than the drywall compound. So this is going to give even more color variation, and it's going to look really great. So then after that was dry, then I went over it with a black wash. And this is going to give the final, I guess you could say, base coloring to the project. You see how it really mutes all the colors, but the colors will shine through, and it's going to look really good. Look at that. Man, that looks great. You still see the color, but it really looks like rock, doesn't it? So after that was all done, I went and I started to dry brush this whole thing. Now I did two different dry brushes. I used a gray to begin with, a really, I guess not a really, really light gray, but a lighter gray, and then I went over it with a pure white dry brush, and that looked really cool. So as you can see here now, just starting to put some glue on some surfaces, and then started sprinkling some flock on there. Now this is just a sawdust flock. You know, this is super simple to make. A little bit of sawdust, you know, some paint, mix it up, you're good to go. So that's what it looks like as far as the flocking goes. Now I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to add another layer of flocking. Now this is static grass. You've seen me use this many times before. This stuff is amazing. Going over top of the flocking, this really raised up the level of the grass to make it look more natural. Sometimes, you know, when you're using static grass, sometimes it doesn't always fall and stay upright. This really helped, so that's just kind of a little tip that I use now that's going to make this look really, really cool. So after that was all done, I finished it off with some pigment powders, and my friends, this project is done. I am really happy with it. I know that if you're going to do this project, something similar, you know, it doesn't have to be exact, obviously, you're going to do a great job with it. Follow the tips, and you know, you're going to have a great time, and you're going to be really proud of it. So thanks so much, everybody. We're going to talk to you again. Please, if you haven't already, like earlier in the video, it said like and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. All right, everybody, you guys have a great day. Bye.